which is from Maharishi Kanad. Yato abhyudaya nishaya siddhi sadharma. What gives rise to abhyudaya as well as nishaya? What gives rise to material progress as well as spiritual progress is dharma. So this is the hallmark of Vedic culture, the holistic nature, the total aspect that when I come into this world, I am seeking this material progress as well as the spiritual progress, not one at the cost of the other. So that is the total strength, the holistic strength of the Vedic culture, and that is very important to understand. Let's move on to the Vedic-Dharm. Why did I say Vedic-Dharm and not Manav-Dharm? What we mean to say is, the books of the Vedas, which are the books of knowledge, they contain within themselves the entire framework of knowledge that I ought to know in this world, which is relevant for me for Abhyudaya and Nishaya, for material and spiritual progress. And that is contained in the Vedas. So we use the word Vedic Dharma or Manav Dharma in synonymous form. There is not much of a difference for that. So I can give you numerous examples insofar as the universality is concerned. I have taken an example from page 2, that is from Yoga Darshan, which yoga is now very popular worldwide. Maharishi Patanjali, he is saying in first element of Ashtanga Yoga, Yam, he lists 5 elements: Ahimsa, Satya, Brahmacharya, Asteya and Apayya. Ahimsa is not to hurt anybody. Satya means truthfulness. Brahmacharya means void of lust. I should look at a young beautiful woman in a positive way, the way I would see my daughter, my sister, my mother and so on and so forth. Asteya, not to steal somebody's belonging, not to take away without his permission. Apayya, not to collect or hoard things beyond my legitimate needs. Just now we were talking about on the way, Satyam company, the Raju, it came out, he had 1,000 suits in his wardrobe. Nobody needs 1,000 suits. Well, ironical, this doesn't make sense. So apayya is only to have so many things which you would genuinely need. Now these 5 elements are universal. No human being will say that this is not relevant, this is not good, because if not we, I do expect from anybody to show me these virtues, otherwise I would not like to deal with any human being. If not within me, at least I expect it from others, and if I expect from others, I should also preserve such human values and so on. That's the pure knowledge part. This is the total dharma aspect that the Vedas concern. So indeed I want to say it, if some wise people sit and formulate, so there are instances, indeed in one world religion conferences, there was such a committee, and indeed I visualize such a thing. If there are 20 or 30 wise people from different backgrounds, from different continents, even from different religions, if they are sitting in a conference room and we give them a mandate, you come out with a list of human values which are acceptable to the entire humanity, 6.5 billion people in the world, then they will come out with a list of certain do's and don'ts that will not go against the Vedas. I am confident about that. Because anybody, a reasonable, intelligent human being, an open-minded person, cannot talk something which is against the Vedas. That is the kind of the knowledge it is contained in this. What I mean by Vedic literature is I have listed the books, a list of long books which are given in this, and I am just highlighting 2 words, darshan. Philosophy has a word, Sanskrit word, namely darshan. What do I mean by that? Darshan is like seeing. So Indian philosopher, the Vedic philosopher, for him philosophy is not a mental gymnastic. It is something, seeing is believing. It is a knowledge which he has seen definitely, pratyaksha praman and anuman praman and so on and so forth. And that is the kind of knowledge. And there is another word I have highlighted, the word nyaya. Philosophy of Nyaya is an integral part of 6 books of Vedic philosophy. It is nothing but philosophy of logic. So philosophy of logic is an integral part of Vedic philosophy, where Vedic philosophy indeed encourages us to utilize our intellectual faculty and discern the truth and get away from all that is not truthful. So otherwise you will see in religions, akal ka dakhal nahi hai and this kind of a thing. But Vedic-Dharm is very, very, very clear on this term. God has given us intellectual faculty and we must utilize it to ascertain what is truthful and what is not. Let me now move on to the part 2, which is the central part of which is what scientific spirituality I am told, which Dr. Abdul Kalam has mentioned, and I am borrowing his words. This is the central part, and I would like to urge you here, with this introduction, to come out of the closet of religion and just take it. Though it may sound like a religious discourse, but just imagine as if you are listening to a college lecture or something like that. It's pure knowledge that we are talking from very basic common sense. So that's why I have mentioned scientific spirituality. Of course, I am using the word Vedic also, but I am very confident if a scientist who has genuine love for truth, who has love for humanity, if he comes up with any idea, it will never go against the Vedas. So of course, we have a term like rediscovering the wheel. One can evaluate it and go get it by trial and error. Otherwise, the Vedas have the entire blueprint of the Dharma and it's very easily accessible. In this second part, I have divided the talk again into 3 sections. We are talking about spirituality. Naturally, we will discuss in section 1 my spirit, which will be the first arm of the spirituality. Then we will discuss the cosmic spirit, that of God, Paramatma, Allah, whatever is the word, that cosmic consciousness. And then of course the third aspect is what is the relationship between these two, how do they get connected. So this is the central part of my talk. I will again begin it here. I will develop these concepts from very first principles, as we call it in engineering, without assuming anything from anybody. We will develop it together on very first principles. Though I may be quoting from Vedas, but anything I am saying is not necessarily need to be supported by the Vedas, because I am developing it from very, very first principles. Let's look at. First, we ask ourselves, who am I? I suddenly find myself into this world. One day I open my eyes, I am different from so many things in the world. This is a table, this is a desk here, so many things in this hall, outside the world. I am very different from them. And we want to ask, who am I? Naturally, I am different because I am a conscious being. I hit this table, it doesn't make any complaint. But if somebody hits me, it does pain me. So the main thing in a conscious being is we experience what we call pleasure and pain, sukh and dukh, and that's how we are different from so many other things. And that is because I am a conscious being. So the main central question is, what is this consciousness? Where does it come from in this body domain? The body was very small at one time when I was born, then it has been growing, and I am but still the same. So we are naturally asking this question, where does this consciousness come from and what is it resultant into? Naturally my hand and fingers are conscious at this point, but when I go to sleep in the night, the same fingers will not be that conscious. Somebody can lift my hand, put it elsewhere, I will not be even aware of. So the consciousness that my fingers are exhibiting at this point of time is not quite its own property. It is its borrowed property. If it was its inherent property, even in the middle of night, they will be conscious. But then they are not having that sort of consciousness. So this is the concept of Atma that Vedic Rishi has, that there is an Atma in this concept, my soul, my spirit, that has its intrinsic property of consciousness. In the daytime, when the Atma, when the soul wants to use the fingers, the hands, the body, then it lends its consciousness throughout the body and the whole body behaves as a conscious being. Otherwise in the night, it withdraws the consciousness, then it goes to that point. So I am composite of body and soul, Sharir and Atma. This is the central Vedic concept which I think the world is now accepting. Everybody is talking in the terms of body, mind and soul nowadays. So this is central part. In Yajurveda 14th chapter, there is a Vayu Anilam Ammitam Ethadam Bhasmantam Sharir. The Sharir is Bhasmantam. At the end of the life it becomes a handful of ash, but there is a Ammitam, undying soul, which will never die, which is always there. It is a singularity. It is non